all of us will think the same. So we're gonna pass it over to Connie. Madame?
All right. I gotta learn how to use this.
Yep.
There you go. Can you hear me?
Remember, it's like an ice cream cone.
All right.
Anything farther away, you will not, ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream. You
Ice
scream.
cream. Ice cream. Okay.
Y'all scream.
Well, thank you. Thank you for setting this up. Thank you for having us. And basically, let me just tell you how us four met before we introduce ourselves. We're all at the very first city council meeting for annexation. And we all did the same thing. Who is that? I need to meet her afterwards. And then our friendships have formed in the last couple months, and here we are, and we all have different aspects and expertise in our little sleuthing, trying to figure things out, trying to get answers, facts, and whatnot. So I, like Jean said, I'm Connie Coronado. I was born and raised here in the Valley. I will disclose that was 51 years ago. And my kids grew up, born and raised here too. My husband and I own a construction company, small construction company, and we've been married 34 years. So I've lived both in the city limits and both in the area that's to be proposed in East Hemet. So, and I'm familiar with our community quite well. Do I have all the answers and know everything? Absolutely not. Do I know a lot of people? Yes, I do. So, but I'm gonna let each of the ladies introduce themselves and get us started.
Do you want the lights on or off?
Yeah, we want to see them.
I thought you could see them better like that, huh? Okay.
Well, we
All right,
can't
people.
see the speakers.
There we go.
Yeah, we can still see them.
Well, I'm only 5'1", so I'll just stand up and wave. Hi, I'm Jenny. I moved here 2 years ago. I grew up in Palmdale in the Antelope Valley, don't judge me. I lived in the San Fernando Valley. I have my family home with my children in Ventura County. I was on a map for the unincorporated area that our neighborhood was in for County of Ventura. Thousand Oaks tried to annex us a couple times, so this is not my first rodeo. It's my first rodeo looking like this, but it's not my first rodeo. We decided, my husband and I, we moved from downtown Los Angeles to Hemet because we thought we would move to a nice, quiet, small, unpolitical, even-keeled town. So here we are. And like Connie said, I just can't stress enough, like we just all came together and we then all heard about your plight with the warehouse, and we just realized how much we all care about this community, whether we've been here 2 years or our whole lifetime. This is really important to all of us, and we appreciate you being here to hear what we have to say.
Testing. Okay. Hi, I'm Bella Soul. They know me by Bella Soul. On social media, Bella Soul. I have been in the Valley for about 31, 32 years, probably safer to say 32 years at this point, in different areas within the city and San Jacinto and so forth. And I got involved just, again, wondering what is this, what's going on, how come we're not informed. I'm a very knowledge-based, fact-based person, so I was very thrown off when there wasn't a lot of time to process the information that was being put before the city, and so that's how I got involved, out of just really kind of concern for the city, the unincorporated areas and so forth.
Hello, I'm Marcy Murphy. Same thing, we just met each other at the city council meetings or through communication on Facebook, and we all came together and decided we needed to find out answers because we weren't getting them from the people who petitioned for this annexation. So that's why we're here, and I've been here since 2012, but my husband did grow up here, and then he left for a little while. We met, and then eventually we moved back, and I have 5 kids and a grandchild, and we love this area.
Okay, now we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty. All right, so basically, like we said, we came together, so we're grassroots effort. We formed, we decided to start a website so we could keep control, or not control, but one area to control all the information we're getting and put it up on that website. And so that's how Hemet Region Informed started happening. Then what we did was, Each of us, like I said, found different things, we compiled them together and brought forth this grassroots effort. Whereas other people are now giving us more information, have joined the little team, and they also contribute to it. Say, hey, I found this, did you see this? We gotta look into it, and we've been adding new things, new moving parts to this annexation. But first off, when we're out on the streets, when we have been doing some protests, and we're actually calling them awareness protests, because there's people who have no idea what this is going on. Only so many people are on social media, only so many people watch or even attend the city council meetings. So we're out there like with our signs on the corners, the major corners of those areas, and crying out, and we'll show you those areas and I'll explain them in a minute. Parcel 1, 2, and 3, and we're on the corners trying to get the word out. So basically what we're hearing is, well, what is annexation? What is that? And so we're having to define what annexation is for people. And basically, it is a proposal that someone wants to come in and make us a part of the municipality of the city of Hemet. At this time, it is not the city of Hemet who initiated this. I'm used to only being able to talk for 3 minutes. Let me slow myself down. I have more time. I'm not in front of the city. So what we have is they want to take the land out of the county jurisdiction and they want to put the land into the city's jurisdiction. So if you know somebody who's unfamiliar with that, that's an easy way. Our unincorporated area. So you guys are the city of Hemet, your addresses are 3 or 4 digits. I'm not sure what you are, either 3 or 4 digits. In the unincorporated area, our address is 5 digits. And that's how, like when I'm at my dad's, if I had to call the police, I know if I was Hemet or sheriff based on my dad's address, he's in the city of Hemet, 3 digits, perfect. That's the best way I've been able to explain it to people over the years. I am a 5-digit person, I will call the sheriff. I'm in the county jurisdiction. Now, with these maps, okay, the map here, we have, oh, I have a handy dandy tool here. So, we have parcel 1. Parcel 1 is all the way to the ranger station, for those of you who go up to Mountain. It ends, the line ends at the ranger station right here. And parcel 1 comes all the way down Cactus Valley Road and Diamond Valley Lake. So they want to annex all of this in. Parcel 2 is California Stowe, Warren, area is what they're calling it. And out here as well, parcel 3. These 2 are more, are in the sphere of influence for Winchester. And they obviously have some things to be said about that area being annexed. And so what will happen was, there are 34,000 acres between the 3 parcels combined. And at the time, the population was 20,456 in these 3 parcels. According to the county, there is now approximately 40,000 of us in the 3 parcels. So, and that was in 2022, there was only 20,000. And then if we go to the next slide, so here's our timeline. So we're gonna get back to that map, don't worry. We're gonna get back to that map. So here's our timeline. In 2022, Hemet United began, oh, I forgot, I got the doohickey. Hemet United began annexation process using 1,089 verified signatures that they received on a petition. Then in August, we came across by public records a letter from Dr. Chaudhry asking Mark to move forward their annexation process. The city did its research, well, started doing the research in November of 2024, and they are finding that they do not have enough money just to cover police. This is public records as well. Then here we are, March 25, they actually presented before the city of Hemet to move it forward to the planning commission to see if it's viable. Hemet Rising and Hemet United, we're gonna explain that in a minute. There's 2 different names they've been going by. Hemet United holds community forums at the theater. And we'll get into that, we're gonna get into all of these little bullet points here. And then the city manager finally puts up a city webpage about annexation. And so we'll get into the petition. So what's happening? The petitioner, I can't look at that. I know it better off the top of my head. So the petitioner has filed a petition with LAFCO. That is the entity that handles the annexation. They are the final say for this to happen. They get a certificate of sufficiency, which says, yes, you collected enough signatures and you can move forward now with your presentation to the city in order to begin the annexation process for your application. The petitioner, again, I'm gonna remind you, is not the city. The petitioner is a citizen group, which is unprecedented in this magnitude. Because people, citizens can say, hey, I'm on the border of a city, I would like to be annexed in. And then they go through the process to become a part of a city. This magnitude, having a handful of people doing it for all of us is unprecedented. So on April 4th, 2022, they received their certificate of sufficiency and was given to the lead petitioner, Keith Garrison. And this group was called Hemet United. Well, in January of 2025, Mr. Garrison had passed away. So now we have a petitioner who has passed away, and another group now, Hemet Rising, has come along and says, I want to use this petition, and we want to move this forward. Well, now they are calling themselves Hemet United. They have decided to use their organization and bring it twofold in, so now they are Hemet United and Hemet Rising. And then now the petitioner has submitted the inquiry to the city of Hemet in support of the annexation. So basically it's at the city of Hemet. They need to give them documentation to show them how viable this really is based on the 3 areas that they want to annex. So that's a rundown of that. So let's look at the signatures. So they had to only get 5%. So what about the other 95% of the residents? Well, here we are now today, and we're trying to find out what's happening, because 95% of us didn't even know this was happening. And we actually, that's the process. We don't have to know until now. So now we want the facts and we want the information, we want transparency. Not only by the city of Hemet, we want transparency from Hemet United. So our questions are they legal since they're from 2022? And are they still valid since the original petitioner has passed on? Also, it is 3 years old, so how many other people who have signed this petition still live in the valley or themselves unfortunately have passed on as well? So we are just finding out now, trying to get the answers, finding out the process, how can we stop this? And we're making our voices heard and we're trying to get the word out. And then obviously questioning the validity of the petition.
All right, so what comes next is that August 7th letter from Dr. Chowdhury to Mark Prestwich, the city manager. In that letter, he states that the population will increase the city of Hemet from 90,000 to 130,000 people. He claims that the benefits for Hemet will be efficiency and service delivery. They would receive compensation for library services, which part of county, if annexed, would provide some of that money. It's close to $1 million, it's $991,000. But does that cover the staff? Does that cover extra books? Does that cover the actual facility? We're not sure of that. The city limits would extend to the logical boundaries to enhance planning and transportation, is Dr. Chowdhury's claim. The doctor's lawyer believes a revenue surplus exists for the city upon annexation. Hemet United is willing to provide that legal assistance for zoning LAFCO requirement for the city of Hemet. So they've offered to support the city of Hemet with that. He also points out there's a duplication of Hemet Fire Station 5 and Little Lake. That to me is a little concerning just because the unincorporated areas is a higher danger with fire and the risk is a little bit higher than what is inside the city of Hemet. Due to less police calls, Hemet police can service the annexed area easily. And he also claims that since the community development is limited, the city's existing staff can handle the annexation territory without a problem. So on August 12th, we just had the Citygate report come out. If you haven't watched that on YouTube, that was there. And Citygate was a company hired by the city of Hemet to study that alignment with the city council's permission to see how the community is understanding the city council and the staff there and that streamline and how everything is efficient and what the staff thinks. And some of the findings, there were 7, but 3 I will point out are the financial constraints that are not sustainable right now due to Measure U, chronic understaffing, and lack of collaboration between the departments. So those are 3 of the 7 areas that were of concern. So I'm not sure how that would work in a bigger area. One thing that's on here too, this is the end of the letter from Dr. Chowdhury. I know it's a little small up there, but it says, I hope the foregoing has been helpful in explaining where we are in the annexation effort. Much has been accomplished by a small group of unincorporated residents who firmly believe their personal and professional lives would be much better as citizens of a united Hemet. I look forward to further conversations as to how we can move Hemet United efforts forward. Yours very truly, Chowdhury. Do we have questions? Here is what we have from the, thank you for pointing out. Here's what we have from another public records request. This was from November 21st, 2024. This was to Mark Prestwich from Tiffany Barnett. I have it all underlined, Connie. You can't read it very well, but it is on our website as well. But one thing that they needed was Mark's permission to pay $104 per hour for further research to the county assessor's office regarding annexation. And then at the bottom, it's highlighted, it says, I've taken all of the revenue provided in the initial report from Towsing, which is Chowdhury's lawyer, and applied each year's CPI to forecast what we might expect to receive on the potential annexation, and it still doesn't come close enough to even covering police. So despite realizing that there are not enough funds in this city, the city has allowed Hemet United / Rising to move forward and submit a petition for annexation on March 25th, 2025, just 4 months later. So I think Jean has shared some slides with some of you. We updated this because the money part can be very confusing. And even when we discussed it, we're like, how do we make sure that this is clear to everyone? So the following images are from Hemet Rising's packet to the City of Hemet from March 25th, 2025, and it's included in their agenda. So this first one, this right here is just a breakdown of their budget analysis. We have police, fire, public works, and code enforcement. And they say there's a surplus of just over $3 million with all of that. The total expenses for that staff is $11 million. So the first one is police. This second one is also from their packet where it broke it down. And it says that they're under budget by $1 million, but they did not take into account equipment costs will need to be considered if not provided by annexation. Additional costs may need to be considered, such as a new police facility, maintenance, equipment, maintenance, etc. I'm not sure what etc. is, and that may be insurance, it may be office supplies, but that's not in account. And then the letter on that previous slide from November still said it does not come close to even covering police. So I'm not sure why they're under by $1 million, but in November, they weren't covering it. And so I have questions about this being $1 million under when, and then it says they have a surplus of $3 million. The next one is fire. On this one, it says the fire is already over by $200,000, and the same asterisks are there stating that it doesn't have enough money to cover other facilities, maintenance, equipment, and I'm pretty sure fire trucks are expensive. The next one is public works. In the public works section, same thing, but they're over by $300,000. All right. Just making sure I'm in the right spot still. And then the code enforcement that's there, they didn't include another page like that, but it only has the additional staff members, which is 2. But do code enforcement have city vehicles? So if they're hiring 2 more people, do they need vehicles for them? Do they use their own vehicles? What kind of supplies or equipment is needed? That was not listed, so when it said code enforcement, all it had was that green part at the bottom. It didn't mention anything about equipment costs. So then in this slide, they also put street maintenance, but that is not covered in the budget analysis because that might be contracted out. But already they need $3 million for that. So if they're over surplus and then they need $3 million to cover the streets in unincorporated area, that goes pretty quickly. And so the police is under by $1 million, but equipment and facilities are not included. The fire is over by $200,000. Equipment and facilities are not included. Public Works is over by $300,000. Equipment and facilities are not included. A total of 37 staff members are needed to cover the current unincorporated parcels. How will this impact the safety and quality of services for both Hemet and unincorporated residents if there are not enough funds and the city of Hemet is already understaffed according to the Citygate report from August 12th? In 2010, Hemet considered annexing East Hemet and determined they would need $12 million for staff. The council voted it down because it would be a money loser. How can the staff cost be $1 million less 15 years later?
Inflation.
Thank you, Marcy, for a very detailed explanation. So, okay, all right, so here we go. So what has happened so far? So on March 24th, 2025, the Riverside County Executive Council submitted a written letter to the Hemet City Manager to pause the annexation agenda item. On March 25, 2025, Hemet United, which was Hemet Rising at the time, and Hemet City Manager presented the annexation agenda item to the City Council. At this City Council meeting, the city said they would have town hall meetings to keep the community informed of the annexation process and questions and answers, etc. As of August 12th, 2025, the city manager did not respond to the Riverside County Executive Council's written letter, and town hall meetings are pending at this time. So the Riverside County letter to Hemet. In that letter, it noted that the estimated population of the area proposed to be annexed included in excess of 40,000 residents, some of the most populous unincorporated communities in the county. The staff analysis of the proposed annexation of unincorporated east, north, and west areas of Hemet was criticized for being incomplete and with no prior communication from city staff to the county executive office, and requested staff to engage in discussion prior to proceeding with this agenda item. The letter advised that the report lacks key information on community outreach from the petitioner, up-to-date financial data, including current revenue and service costs, capital expenditures for facilities and equipment was lacking, as Marcy has spoken about, and a formal plan of service document detailing how the city would provide services to the proposed area to be annexed was also missing. And again, as of August 12th of 2025, a response from the city manager to that letter had not been completed. And this information was shared at the most recent city council meeting. And here's the map. Here's the map. And again, where? I use this.
Red dot.
Oh, red dot.
Yep.
Okay, so again, we're looking at this area being considered East Hemet, then we have Diamond Valley area going from Cactus Valley on down around the lake and then into parcel 2 and parcel 3, in which some of the areas, like stated before, are part of the Winchester area, or their sphere of influence. So again, in looking at this area, we're looking at, from what the county is saying, a surplus of 40,000 additional residents. At this time right now, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, the city of Hemet, which, where's the red button? So here we go, here's the city of Hemet. So the city of Hemet is at about 90,000, am I correct on that? 92,000. So here we have city of Hemet, 92,000. So basically, I mean, in terms of land, like the space, I mean, you can see the vastness that they're wanting to take on, as well as 40,000 additional residents. So kind of keeping in mind, what does that mean for city services and city staff and taking on this amount of space? So we're looking at animal control, obviously fire, police, public works, maintenance, and a bunch of different other things that I can't think off the top of my head. Trash, water, sewer, lighting.
Response times,
Pardon me?
response times from public safety.
Oh, yeah, thinking about the response times and looking at, because in this area right here, looking at the response time for what that's gonna look like in terms of also making sure that it's consistent for these areas in which the city residents are receiving. So there's a lot to consider. Okay, but moving on, looking at one of the things in the executive council's letter, number one of their concerns was it is unclear what sort of public outreach has been done by the petitioners to the affected communities to gauge their interest in this proposal. So on July 3rd, 29th and 31st, Hemet Rising, which has blended with Hemet United at this point, put on community informational forums at the theater. These were used to address the public outreach, considered to be posted as informational community sessions on annexation. So the concerns about the informational sessions included the registration required for admittance. So basically, anybody who wanted to attend these meetings were required to provide their names, their addresses, phone numbers, emails, along with completing a survey. So the concern with that is when we're looking at addressing public outreach as requested by the executive council, the concern with that is limiting those who may be privacy conscious, and as well as limiting those who may not have access to technology to register for these types of meetings, therefore limiting public outreach. Moving on to the survey of questions. So with the survey of questions, which was required to be completed with registration, there was no opportunity to opt out of these questions in order to register. The attendance at those 4 sessions was noted to be low from those who attended. Altogether, and this is a conservative estimate, about 60 people amongst those 4 sessions. So what is the concern? Why am I bringing this up? The concern is, just like with AI, artificial intelligence, clean data in, you get clean data out. Or if you have unclean data going in to these learning models for AI, you're getting unclean data out. And so the information from the surveys that were required for Hemet Rising, Hemet United, the information from the survey right now is being used as an absolute in their presentations, with no information shared on how many completed that survey. So keep in mind, if you're looking at about 60 people amongst 4 sessions, how many people actually completed these surveys? And of those responses, were they city residents or were they unincorporated residents? The age range categories on this survey was limited to 3 ranges. Those ranges were below 30, 30 to 55, and 55 and above. Why is this important? The flaws in the survey, construction, and the information obtained leads to the concerns of unclean data going in and being used to provide representation as if it's clean data. When completing surveys, it's important not to make a survey mandatory, as there may be survey fatigue or guessing to just get through that survey and complete the requirements for admittance. Also, the information is being used again as an absolute along the lines of 75% of you want local control. Again, who are these 75%? What is the sample size? What age range is wanting local control? As we know, a 30-year-old's lifestyle may look vastly different than a 55-year-old who may be approaching empty nest and planning for a retirement. So to group these ages together and put off this information as if it is matter of fact is very concerning. But the responses have not been broken down to, again, reflect a sample size or answers based on demographics such as age, or are these individuals citizens of Hemet or residents of Hemet or the unincorporated area. This is why it's important that we are using critical thinking when we are told that 75% want local control. Just like with the 1,089 signatures, there are many questions left to be answered on who are these small groups presenting themselves as representation of 40,000 people. An additional concern with the community outrage is that police were called to remove 2 people from the theater the day of the community information sessions, in which 7 officers responded to those calls. Despite it being advertised as a public community event, the police were called on 2 community members, myself included. When my attendance was there to verify that Hemet Rising, Hemet United, had removed my information from a slide presentation in which I was projected in a negative light without my consent. I must say, I received firsthand experience of what local control looks like and feels like when you question those in a position of influence. Thank you.
Okay, it's my turn again. So we've talked about how we got here and what's happened, and now we want to talk about what's next up. So the petitioner, who you now know is a person, not the city, is planning to submit their application to LAFCO. We're hearing through the grapevine that they want to do it quick. They want to do it within 30, 60, maybe 90 days. So they're getting ready to submit that application. The LAFCO commission is going to review their submittal, and it's important to know there's a lot of legal issues related to this application, and they're going to evaluate it at that time. They're not doing any work ahead of time, which is the right thing. They don't have an official application. I wanted to note that LAFCO right now appears to be a neutral partner, which is a good partner. We're not seeing any bias. They have a website that they put up to specifically talk about the Hemet annexation. So I did want to point that out. We're just seeing neutrality from them right now, which is the right thing. They're going to offer a notice and opportunity to the public to comment, including a public hearing. And I wanted to let you all know that as that time gets closer, because that's going to be a big topic and a heavy lift, we'll talk more with all of you about what that looks like and how we can organize. We've got a lot of great ideas from people. So more to come on that, which will be on our Facebook group and our webpage. If the application is approved by LAFCO, then there will be an actual protest hearing. And then I wanted to just clear up real quick, because I realized we didn't mention it at the beginning. LAFCO is the Local Agency Formation Commission. It's made up of 7 members, different types of people. It's explained on their webpage. And they serve 4-year terms. This is a state mandated agency to ensure orderly growth and development in communities. So this is every county has a LAFCO, and we probably should have cleared that from the beginning. I didn't know what LAFCO was until like April 15th of this year. So more to come on that, on how we organize that potential public hearing. So if the application is approved by the LAFCO commission, again, after they get through all these legalities of the petitioner, being passed, of the petition being 3 years old. I wasn't here when that petition was circulated. If it's filed, so this is really confusing, I'm gonna go right through it because we'll probably have to address this in Q&A. 25 to 50% of the registered voters, or an amount greater than 25% of landowners, right? Because not all landowners are here and are registered voters, there's a little break there. The annexation will be scheduled for a vote. That's 40,000 people. So we are really trying to not get to this point. We're asking everybody to fight now before we get to that point, because that is door-to-door knocking and securing 25 to 50% and the 25% landowner. It's a lot. It's a lot of people we're gonna have to get written protests from. If it's less than 25%, it's approved. It goes through. We're annexed. If the protest is greater than 50%, it's denied without an election. Let's not get to this step. Let's do what we can now to provide LAFCO at those public hearings enough information to question this and just not approve it. What should we be doing now? Community outreach like we're doing today. We want to talk about education and facts. We want to open up open dialogue by meeting protests, awareness protests, other interactions like what you allowed us the privilege of doing today. We have an amazing website, and I have nothing to do with it, but it is so amazing. HemetRegionInform.com. We have copies of all of our public information requests. We have advice, we have blogs, we have information. It's all there if you want the whole story. We need to have this community outreach with the city and county government. We need emails. We need you all attending meetings. I mean, we all know this. This is how we won the warehouse, right? None of this is new to any of you. We want to collect evidence and examples that support specifically. LAFCO is going to look at how does the quality of life in the county, how is that affected if the annexation to the city goes through? So we're looking at on specific fact-driven experiences. It's not just I don't want it. They're not going to hear any of that. It has to be focused, and that's another part of what we'll organize as we get closer to those public hearing times. We want you to show up at city council meetings and ask questions. They see our four faces all the time. We have no impact anymore. I think they were a little bit surprised at the last city council meeting. They heard a lot of different perspectives from a lot of different people. That was very meaningful. We want everyone to be planning to be involved for the long haul. This is not going to be quick. It's probably not the last time I heard of warehouses either. So I think we're all also very experienced in being, having that energy and that drive for the long haul. Find ways to stay engaged and informed. So I think that's all I had there. I wanted to add a couple things from hearing my very intelligent friends talk. The first thing is, we keep asking, what is local control? Everyone's saying that, what is local control? And I realized, Marcy, when you showed that slide, that Dr. Chaudhry did us the courtesy of defining local control. So what I heard from Dr. Chaudhry's letter was local control is a small group of people who will have professional and personal advantages in their lives on behalf of 95% of us. So until Hemet, Rising, United, whatever, wants to come forward and give a different definition, that's what I'm gonna go with today, is local control means that if you're rich, wealthy, and powerful, maybe look at the professions of the people involved on this board, you might get even more of an answer, but I'll stop there. The last thing I wanna say is, when I was 7, I fibbed, and it blew up in my face, and my mom told me, when first we practice to deceive, oh, what a tangled web we weave. And I'm up here so proud of us and the community, because I think we all have our vacuums out and we're sucking up those webs, and we're gonna get rid of those. We're gonna bust those webs, and we appreciate your time and listening to how we wanna do that.
Okay, so we have Q&A. Questions from the audience? Any questions? Okay, Wendy, hold on, let me get there with a mic for you. Hello?
Thanks. So in your presentation, I wondered the cost documentation that Hemet United provided. Do we know their source? Do we know where they got that data?
So it seems like their lawyer did that research. There are the county assessor and the county people have also done that. We found some through public records where they've done a little bit of that based on the city's request, which was at $104 per hour. And a group called HDL, which I just learned about what that is last night, is a community, it's a for-profit company in the state of California and across the United States that looks at projections and cost analysis for annexations and for cities across the United States. So there are some numbers that I believe the city website now has from them as well. I don't remember
In
the
terms
exact.
of whose data is reliable, clearly that's not reliable. If they say 300,000 or whatever it is for street maintenance, they can't maintain the streets they have, let alone the adding any more. So
And those are the questions we keep asking, because we don't have clear, direct data, and then when you look on the website, like we said, the city manager has put up more information on the website, well, actually, just now finally made a website this last week,
August 12th.
August 12th. We're looking at those numbers, and they're different now than the staff report, but there's no commentary stating that. So, explain to us why the numbers changed, so now we can understand why the numbers are changing in certain areas, not all of them. Because there's no commentary, it's just a document thrown out.
Go ahead, Bill. And I would like to say that is a wonderful question, because that's what we're thinking as well. And that's the clarity that we are looking to inquire, to seek, to gain. Have this all match up, have it thoroughly, a thorough analysis, and so that we can make an informed decision on, does this make sense or does this not make sense? Otherwise, we're all in the same position of what's happening here. So that's a great question, and that's one that we're just gonna continue to pursue, is for clarity and accuracy of these analysis.
And the other, just one little add-on question. With regards to the original petition being filed in 22, so it's 3 years old, going on 4, how can that data be relied on going forward with those 1,081 people, some of whom may have left the area, may be dead, whatever, they don't know. So, you know, back 3 years ago, some people signed a petition, and now we're gonna try to do something about it, right?
LAFCO has, put out a fact page just for this annexation.
Okay.
They don't normally do it, that's why we keep saying this is unprecedented. So they have a fact page on their website,
Okay.
and they state on their website, we will get to the legalities when we have an application from the petitioner.
Okay.
So that's our answer
Yeah, thank you.
from them.
Yeah.
And that makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense is how it grew from 22 to 40,000 in 3 years. All of Hemet didn't grow that much in 3 years. Not only that, but now 5% is 2,000 signatures.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even meet that, so it seems to me, the lawyers being who they are, that they will require that the minimum be met and then a new petition be issued. Just off the top of my head, I would hope for that. When I spoke with Mark Presswich and the city attorney at the last city meeting in August, the city council meeting, I asked Mark about the annexation, and he said, first of all, we didn't give it to the planning commission like the city council directed in March, because they don't have the time, nor do we have the time. You see what we're going through. You see all the reports, all the outsiders that have come in, professionals that have reported on our city and the problems that we have. Our fire chief just resigned. We're running with the deputy fire chief now. We're not gonna have that position filled until next year. Maybe, because we wanna save the money for the salary. Well, if you're saving $250,000 with one salary, really? How do we afford this? Last year, there was a study done on the streets here in Hemet. Did you see it, Karen? There are 270 miles of streets, I believe, in Hemet, of which 75% were rated under 25%
I believe it.
in performance in needing repair. The rest, there's like 5% that were rated 75 or something, that they were acceptable streets.
And the plan to repair goes over 20 years.
It went over 20 years, and it just wasn't happening, and I believe you guys have 130 miles of streets in this annexation.
Yes.
So, come on, where's it gonna come from? You all, a bond maybe? I don't know, somebody mentioned a bond earlier, this gentleman.
Address that when there's an
Yeah.
opportunity.
Now, at the last meeting also, Measure U, it was recommended by that Citygate, that the city take the funds, some of the funds from Measure U, which is supposed to only be for police and fire, and use it for other expenses in the city, because we have such a shortfall. Now, it's not part of the general fund, or is it? Is it?
Yes.
It's part of the general fund, so the city council can do whatever they want with that money. Yeah. It's not restricted. Frank, hold on, let me get your microphone so we can hear you. Anybody else wanna be a runner?
I'm just gonna mention something real quick. I skipped one of my pages. How you can help, because you're all city, right? Please go to the LAFCO website and get familiar with that city, of Hemet annexation fact page. They also have an opportunity for you to sign up to get email notifications, and they're really good about it. They send out not too many, and it's specifically about the topics that you probably care about, including that. We do have a Facebook group and a web page. We would like you to visit it also for facts. And I invite you to follow all of the other information available out there. I think you should get the whole story, because if you have the whole story and you know what everyone's saying, you can ask more more structured questions. Attend the meetings, please have open dialogue and inform others. You guys are city and we're county, so how does this affect you versus us? Is mom and dad taking good care of your house? Do they really need more mouths to feed? If I lived in the city, I personally probably say no to that, so I just wanted to tell you my forgotten comments.
Okay, Frank?
The question I had was, we've been going through this thing with the warehouses, et cetera, and has anybody done an analysis of just who owns the property in these areas and how big is their property? Because that's a little scary sometimes.
We do know, can we bring the map up, Mercy? We do know parcel 3 and 2 in Winchester are owned by the Dominagoni family. And you see what they're putting in over there, they've got all the houses in, we've got, the Rancho self-storage that's gone in here on Dominagoni as well. So I don't know what's happening in Winchester as far as development goes. Can anybody, Krista, add to that?
So for Winchester, we know that they are trying to adopt a community plan for that area. So what we've been looking at lately is there's some industrial that they're trying to sneak in there, as well as there's gonna be like a metro area in the downtown with a lot of high density housing. But in there's gonna be some business park, some mixed use along Dominagoni. So you really have to pay attention to what's going on there, because there is on the website, on Riverside County's website, they are talking about adopting the community plan and the changes that they've made to it. We do know that Lansing Companies owns some of that property along Dominagoni, the ones that we were just fighting as far as the warehouse. Yeah, and they've also been trying to get the county to rezone some of that area for industrial.
Warehouses.
Yeah.
Industrial could be light industrial, which is maybe like, food places and things like that, that support the residences versus a distribution warehouse. Pam?
So nobody.
1 second, Bella, hold on, Pam, Bella, you wanna add something?
Yeah, can I see the?
You want the clicker? Yeah, the clicker.
Okay, so in looking at different maps, and as we have experience going through, just so much different information that's come out through just looking at things. There's different maps that have been, provided through the city agenda, through public records requests, etc. But one of the things, so just looking, and then we don't have another map to go from, but if you go to the Winchester map committee, there's like a plan that you can find their map on. However, it goes through here, so Winchester goes through here. If you're looking, let me just specify that again. If you go to Chuck Washington's, the supervisor's page, and look for the Winchester Map Advisory, there's a link to a live map that shows boundaries for Winchester. That's a bad way of explaining it. But on that live map, you will see that Winchester goes through here in this area. And then through these two parcels, for parcel 3 and parcel 2, it's almost like a jagged line that goes through. So like imagine that being in the Winchester area, and imagine that being in the Winchester area. So again, we're still looking for clarification. What does this look like? Who really is a part of these parcels? Okay, and in through here, when we're looking at some of the landowners, off of Cactus Valley coming downward, we do have, just like out here, one of the petitioner, or I think it was Shuttery that wrote a letter back in August. As people are probably familiar with, is it there's something in front of the commission for rezoning of a home. And then some of the area out here is owned as well, and through here.
So a question I had is about Saboba, is the reservation. It's currently under county, they have their own police, right, on the reservation? So how would that then fit in Hemet? Does anybody know that? I don't.
It does.
Huh? It doesn't, so they'd still be Riverside Sheriff, even though they'd be annexed into the city of Hemet, and how?
No, they're not, it cuts off right
It
at
cuts
the
out, yeah, so here's the boba, so we're just
Oh,
looking
okay,
at,
the
yeah.
purple.
Yeah, so we're looking at when, just parcel listed as parcel
Okay,
one,
good.
parcel two, and parcel three, yeah. So those are the areas that, when the documents were filed and the city council presented their presentation, this is the map that was presented at that time.
And Diamond Valley Lake, I mean, how are we gonna take care of Diamond Valley Lake?
That was my question, is
And
what the heck
safety.
with Diamond Valley Lake?
Safety and, you know, people drowning on the lake, drinking on the lake, and.
No, so we don't have any clarification of that, we would have to speak to the water department of what that looks like, because we're not getting answers elsewhere. So that is on our list, if anybody knows anyone, we'd love to speak with them about that.
I know at the March meeting, it was mentioned by either a council member or Mark Prestwich, city manager, that we would be hiring their staff that are there and take them over.
And those are the answers that we still need.
None of that makes sense.
No.
Okay, we've got a question here, Clint, go ahead and give her.
Okay, so one thing, first of all, is that map doesn't include all of East Hemet. So,
We don't know that.
well, because our property is East Hemet and it's not on that map.
What is,
It would be where your Exhibit A box is. So I'm
Correct.
wondering, did they,
Gibble Road?
ours is up Red Mountain Road,
No, Red Mountain Road is not in
but
the
that's
area.
Hemet.
Correct, but it's not within the boundaries that they've asked to annex.
It's unincorporated Hemet, you're in Riverside County,
Uh-huh,
not Hemet, not the city of Hemet.
but our address is Hemet.
Correct, so a lot of us that are unincorporated are, like mine, I am Hemet too, with the 5 digits, and, on my street. So yes, most of us say Hemet in our address, and that's what's confused people over the years. Red Mountain Road is not on their proposal. You might be one day, but you're not today. You're not today, so they are already, so there's a thing called the sphere of influence, and they call it the SOI for short. So this is their sphere of influence, but they're also outside, like Bella just said, they have encroached now into Winchester. So that was one of the things that the Riverside Executive Council, they called out. They said, you guys are outside of your sphere of influence. In fact, this area right here to Cactus Valley Road is outside of Hemet's sphere of influence. So those are just some things that the county even wants addressed. So you would be probably outside the sphere of influence and they haven't asked for you yet.
Well, the SOI, or sphere of influence, it's very muted. San Jacinto crosses Hemet boundaries.
Yeah.
Winchester crosses Hemet boundaries. We cross their boundaries as far as sphere of influence. Why? We clearly impact adjacent cities. Roads connecting, Simpson Road is part of Hemet. I mean, that whole thing with the warehouse, right? Simpson Road is not a truck route. So why the heck were they sending 40% of the trucks up Simpson Road into Winchester? We don't know.
So one other question would be, this Dr. Chowdhury,
Yes,
do we know, is he the one that took over the Hemet Hospital?
he is, yes, the owner of Hemet Hospital.
Because I first heard that name when I lived in Orange County. And they took over the Memorial System hospitals and all of them went down.
Well, all of his are going down too.
All of it,
Yeah.
and the quality of care and everything about it goes down, so that just says what a negative,
Yeah.
aspect that he puts on
Well,
anything
apparently he
he
owns
touches.
property there as well.
Yes, he owns property.
Quite a bit of property.
On Cactus Valley Road, and he owns property in East Hemet that he's trying to get rezoned currently with the county. And then French Valley as well, pretty much the whole area, there's pockets. But,
So it's a little bit of self-interest there.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
I think that needs to be pointed out to the city.
Pardon me?
I think his self-interest, self-serving.
Oh, they are aware, they're aware,
They know who Dr. Chaudhry is.
yeah.
We
they're
all
aware.
know the name.
I think you all should,
I think you all should come to meetings and ask questions like that. They know,
Absolutely.
we know about Dr. Chowdhury. I get to look at his monstrosity of a house every day. It would be nice if other people showed up and expressed their genuine concern in what some people's personal interests might be in this annexation.
And write letters, emails, phone calls. Janet, you got the mic?
Yeah, okay. What generally is the motivation for annexation? Like, who gets paid what from whom?
I don't know what Riverside County, why they would wanna do it. I question what's in it for them unless the police and fire are outsourced to Riverside County.
Is it similar to like somebody gets paid and then they go out of town the way developers do?
I have no idea, but I don't think that's the case, because you're talking about the city versus the county. They don't own
I can
things.
tell you how it, I can tell you how it goes in a normal conversation. When there was a discussion in Ventura County for the city of Thousand Oaks to annex our town, it was a very short and open and transparent and reasonable dialogue. And it turned out everyone was fine. Thousand Oaks didn't need any money. We were happy with our emergency services. All the residents came and talked about it. We wanted a little help with our sidewalk repair. The conversation was very short-lived. Because again, it was very transparent and it was out in the open. So the normal motivation for a city to annex in or for residents to annex in are usually reasons that don't need to be hidden or shady or found in public information requests. It's usually for the betterment of the residents is the really short way to say it.
Do you know what's being hidden?
I know they don't wanna talk about a lot of stuff. I know the comments are off on podcasts. I know that questions go unanswered. I can only judge the lack of providing. It's the absence of information that is a little bit jarring.
We do know two of the cheerleaders, Andrew and the gal that's the cheerleader for annexation, they're both developers. Lori Van Ars is a real estate developer and a real estate agent. Yes, sir. It should have been on,
Okay. If it's
like
on
an
now,
ice cream, get it up there,
It wasn't on.
okay.
I can address at least 3 of these, and some of them are corrections. First off, and you can stop me if you want, but I was the only person at the council meeting who addressed the City Gate report, okay?
That was you.
Yeah.
I was the only one to address that, yeah.
Exactly. I talked for 6 minutes, and one of the things that seems to be becoming a misconception here is the City Gate report said absolutely nothing about annexation. It said they were unsustainable in at least 3 key areas, including finances, including fire.
It was a staffing assessment,
Yeah.
not an annexation
Current.
assessment.
Current.
Staffing,
And
that's
they
right.
said they were underfunded by something like 13 positions. Currently, it was a broken system. They need to put in complete new software, which I think they've started paying for, but they haven't started implementing.
They said in
need to-
January 1 it would be implemented.
Yeah,
Right.
next year.
Right.
So they'll be starting their training then, which will require additional outside consultants. Citygate was paid $100,000, $98,000 to be more precise. I believe the staff time involvement and the support of them as consultants probably cost another $100,000. Okay, it was the end of 2024 that this was commissioned, and I feel it's uncomfortably close with their friends and neighbors on Hemet United. And, you know, they were told that this was gonna be coming, and they were trying to get this to act as a report and somehow brand it so they can be given to LAFCO because it's more up to date. But not once in there do they say a thing about annexation.
So who are they that you say they're trying to get it to LAFCO? The city or the Hemet Rising? Hemet, United?
Opinion is the council.
City council?
People who voted the day after LAFCO said lay off, and hearing 3 hours from their residents and residents in the areas that were being proposed to be annexed, there were 3 hours of opposition. There was 1 support, and there were 2 undecideds. one of them was a former LAFCO employee. Okay.
I'm lost, you're losing me. What, was that meeting the day after the city council meeting, or?
That was the city council meeting.
Okay.
3 hours of residents saying.
Are you talking about in March?
Yes, March
Okay, I thought you
25th.
meant the one in August when Citygate did their presentation.
No, that has addressed first.
Okay.
Okay. But Citygate said, unsustainable as you are, not with 40,000 additional people. In March, they had already commissioned Citygate, I think with the intention of expecting something a little more positive, and that they were going to try to substitute the things that they had from prior. Now, the third thing that ties into it, I do not believe Taussig is their attorney. Taussig has spent an hour on their website, appears to make the majority of their income, and they have locations all over the US, but predominantly in California. I think they go out to distressed cities, help them to do incorporations, help them to fund bonds, package that. Their primary income source appears to be the commissions off selling bonds.
Sir, most of the people here are residents. Would you identify yourself for the group
Sure.
from Solera Diamond Valley?
I've been, they've called me.
Your name?
Mark Basket. On all their tapes.
Well, people, I don't know Mark. Do you guys know Mark? We want to know who you are, that's all.
Okay. Been here 10 years. I'm a retired attorney. I have opinions. I predicted 7 years ago that this was going to happen based on things that were going on, and the problems they had coming into Measure U, which we were told was going to solve everything, it was going to fund everything, it would be untouched except for police and fire, for public safety. And the primary recommendation basically of Citygate is steal from Measure U to be even close to sustainable now as you are.
Thank you for your input, Mark. Moving on, other questions? Bella, you had something?
Thank you, Mark, for your comments. And I do want to clarify with the Citygate report, they did mention that there is no current local or LAFCO municipal service review online for the city. And their report, from my understanding of being at that meeting, was that basically it came together, their involvement with the city of Hemet, getting their interviews and so forth done. End of 2024 into the beginning of this year. So based on that information, again, in their report, it did say that there is no current LAFCO review online for the city. And I had the same question, in the sense of, well, wait a minute, there's all this noise about annexation in the background. How come Citygate's not aware of it? However, when we look at LAFCO's actual, their frequently answered questions, they themselves are saying, we don't have anything to look at this time because the petition has not been filed, etc. And so in looking at this report, I would imagine, and maybe this is again a great question for the city to explain, a great question to ask, okay, was it necessary? Was that information necessary at the time that LAFCO was doing their analysis, or not LAFCO, that Citygate was doing their analysis? Did they need the information that in the background this was potentially happening? But it's only a potential, and that's what basically LAFCO is saying too. So that's why I believe that, and the city can correct me, but that's why I believe that it's not in the report regarding the annexation. I think that's something that's, anybody else have anything to add to that?
Yeah, just real fast. Looking at the staff report, they sent out the request for proposal in September of 2024, and they had 3 lower costs, but they went with Citygate in November of 2024. So that coincides with the the order of things, and like you said, yeah, LAFCO, they still tell us, whenever we ask the question, we don't have an application. I know, but can I still please ask this question? So it's coming directly from them as well.
Okay, here we go.
How you doing? My name is George Evans. I've been in the Valley about 22 years. My family owned a florist in the Farmer's Corner, Afton's Flowers. Mom and Dad, I came out here more or less to take care of them. I am a retired fire chief from New Jersey, and my knowledge mainly on this annexation is public safety, okay? The average fire truck, I know somebody was asking, okay, starts at $750,000 for an engine, which is a pumping apparatus that carries the water, and goes up to $1.5 million. A ladder truck, which Hemet is getting another ladder truck, $1.7 million to $3 million. Now, under NFPA standards, fire truck's lifespan on frontline service is 15 years. Hemet is on the verge, their backup apparatus, and that's why they got a new ladder, is because of the fact they didn't have a reserve ladder, okay? But Saboba does. And a lot of people don't realize that Saboba's fire department is manned 24/7 with an engine and a truck. A truck is a ladder truck. I'm sorry for my terminology, okay? And they're manned 24/7. The other thing is, the city, when they were gonna contract with CAL FIRE, and then all of a sudden, some of the people got up in arms and council, and they shot it down, even though CAL FIRE was less, because again, that terminology, local control. Well, local control to me is when I drive around Hemet, I see what local control is, and I'm not happy with it. The average police car starts at $50,000, okay, goes up to $80,000, depending on the type of vehicle it is, and to upfit them with the equipment, you're looking at $25,000 to $35,000 in equipment on a police car. Now, we all see when they're in these high-speed chases, they're using these police cars like bumper cars. Okay, and this is something, if you go to the yard, you'll see broken down police cars. And again, this is all gonna come from the taxpayers. You look at the land mass here, that purple area, and the two yellow areas, okay? You look at that and it is double the mass, all right? And the county is responding to equal, because the fire department's call volume is 80% medical aid. So my question is, why is it public facilities, care facilities, why are we sending an ambulance, a fire truck, okay? Why are we sending them to a care facility when they have staff on hand? Because they don't want the liability. Well, then why isn't the city charging them for that service? Okay, I had a problem in my town, okay, where we were getting calls for our garden apartment complexes. And again, smoke detectors. Take the time to vacuum your smoke detectors, because what happens is spiders get in there and it thinks it's smoke. Okay, well, we were getting these calls at 2, 3 in the morning, and finally I went to my fire marshal and I said, this is ridiculous. You know, we got 3 engines, 2 ladders, and a rescue truck responding on these calls. This is costing us. So what we did was we put a fine out there. 3 months later, we didn't,
We're shortening your time.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
He's doing that, I'm in here saying land the plane. Where are you going?
Well, I'm just telling you that if you look at this land mass, where is the money gonna come from?
Yahoo.
Okay, I
You just
mean,
landed. Thank you.
so.
We're with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Clinton's behind you. What other questions do we have from the audience? Nobody? Krista? I still don't know what's in it for Riverside County. I can't.
There isn't.
Unless we outsource fire and police.
No, Riverside County is just a holder. You have to look at
Correct.
it from the perspective of Riverside
So why would
County.
they agree to it?
They don't want the land.
Doesn't Hemet have to approve it?
Well, they're not, okay, so they're not necessarily agreeing with it, they're neutral right now.
Yes.
The supervisors are neutral until they hear the outcries. Until they hear the people say, this is no benefit for me, please help. And so that's what we're saying is we need to get the word out. Obviously, you guys are city Hemet, you need to be telling your council members, you know you can't afford this. What are we
But we
doing?
have supervisors in the county as well.
Well, yes, you do,
Washington,
yeah, you do have the supervisors too. But and so you can tell them as well, you are correct, sorry. My focus right now, our focus is on the city to get it stopped there.
Sure.
But yes, the supervisors need to hear from you that you're in the city of Hemet, and from us.
That was me.
And then your other question was, what does the county have to gain?
Yeah, and
They lose, they
the
actually
city
lose
has
in
to
a way.
approve it, right? Even if LAFCO says, we have it, we have the app, we approve it, we still have to approve it.
Well, so here it is with
Still has to approve it.
so here it is with the city. Part of the application process, there is a resolution in the packet. So we are being told at this point, it will go before the city and they will vote. So we have 5 city council members we're depending on to see this documentation and say it is not fiscally responsible to do this annexation, and that they would vote no to sign the resolution. But we're chancing that with them, so we're hitting everybody all at one time. We're hitting the city council, we're hitting the supervisors, and we're asking tons of questions with LAFCO at the same time.
We have 2 city council members in East Hemet, Krupka and Howard, Connie Clark.
They are the
East
east end of, but they're not our
city?
council members. We are,
Yeah.
right. They are
They're
not our city
East
council
and
members.
they're not unincorporated Hemet.
Yes, correct.
That's interesting
Sure.
though, because if this annexation were to go through, there is talk of redistricting. And isn't it interesting that all of your Hemet United Rising people currently cannot run for city council? But if the land is annexed, that might become an opportunity for some people who are for this annexation. And also to your point, you don't get to vote. Mom and dad gets to vote if you are having new brothers and sisters in the house. So that was, to the question of vote.
So the owners vote, that's it.
It is, there's lots of moving parts, and, there would be lots of moving parts even if the city was the initiator, but I think it would be more transparent. And my question at the last city council meeting is, why aren't you the initiator then?
Right.
Why aren't you, as the city, the initiator?
I know we can't handle it.
Correct.
Janet, you have a question?
Has there ever been an annexation rescinded when the city realized they couldn't afford it?
Yes,
Yes.
in 2010.
Where?
They stopped the annexation.
Use your microphone.
It was not approved.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, no.
In 2010, they did try to do another annexation at that time. I don't believe it was this volume, and they said no. The city did all the research for it, and then they found out that it was gonna cost them quite a bit of money. They would lose $1 million or dollars or more every single year. So they voted as a council to not annex East Hemet.
Okay, but I am asking,
We all heard
has something ever been annexed and then they undid it?
Yes.
Yes, it can be undone, but who gets it? We give it back?
Yes.
Take it back.
They're very few and far between, but there have been those in the state of California, yes, that have unannexed and became back unincorporated.
It may not be possible, though, if you've got bonds and the
Right.
assets have been pledged, only if there's been no financial changes in responsibility, do I think you get through that, and if you even try, there'd be lawsuits for 10 years.
The city get foreclosed.
Well,
So-
the city would unincorporate.
We'll get with you in a minute, Pam. Clinton over there. We all remember flip-flop mollies?
No, you passed her.
Well, 1 second. Flip-flop mollies, do we remember what he said? That he gave the police and fire big raises, and without the warehouses, we couldn't afford them?
Yes.
Remember that? But we turned down that warehouse.
More coming.
No, we don't know. We have the moratorium. We know there's more coming. We know of the 9 that were approved. We understand that. We understand Roy's got stuff still pending with his. Also the ones next to Lowe's and back of Lowe's, 2.2 million square feet there, not to mention San Jacinto Commerce Center.
But the last podcast, they talked about the Highway 79 corridor. What do you think that's gonna bring?
Yeah.
Okay, the Highway 79, you think about it, most of them travel to 215 and the 10. Okay, well, they gotta take the 10 all the way to the 215 through the 60 and come down and wrap around. Okay, once you cut that path through, them trucks, that's fuel. They're gonna take that route
So then what's gonna happen? It's gonna inspire
but it's-
more warehousing, just like you see out in Moreno Valley, Paris and all that.
All right, Pam, so my
Point
question
warehouses.
is, do you happen to remember what was trying to be annexed before in 2010?
No.
No, I found an article on Press Enterprise. I did put a public records request to get the information and the exact map, so I can find more details. As soon as I get that from the city, I'll put it on our
It was
website.
East Hemet.
It did say East
Wasn't
Hemet,
as
but I
big,
don't
though.
have a map.
Yeah, it wasn't as large. as what we're doing.
This, and by the way, that was the city initiating
Yes. Yeah.
that annexation in 2010, and then they realized that they couldn't do it. Yes.
And just from the executive council's letter, and this is just following up on another question that had been asked as well, is it did say that this area over the years been the subject of several annexation proposals, which ultimately did not meet with support from the affected communities. As the local government representative for these unincorporated communities today, it is important for the county to be engaged in discussions about an annexation of such magnitude. These discussions and information sharing can help ensure that comprehensive and up-to-date information can be presented to those involved in the process, whether it's the city council, board of supervisors, LAFCO, or ultimately the affected communities. So apparently it has been in the past. And this just goes to show just the importance of communities, be it the city of Hemet, be it the unincorporated areas, of being aware. I'm gonna just really normalize that this is a lot of information. This was a lot of information for us to take in, and we're still digesting. Every day it's something new that we're like trying to make sense of and to digest. And so I can only, kind of take in how that might be for people just walking in today and taking in this information. And I'm gonna encourage, I think you had asked the question about what is the motivation? What is the motivation? And we are all looking for that. The only thing that we are left with is just basically the information that's been presented through videos from Hemet Rising, Hemet United, and trying to just make sense of what's being said and also what's not being said. There's a lot that goes unspoken that we are left to question. And so I think it's very important, again, I'm just gonna encourage everybody, ask questions, talk to your representatives, talk to your supervisors, talk to the city council, talk to your council member, etc. Emails, communication, subscribe to everybody's website, in terms of staying informed, because we are in this for the long haul.
I just wanna encourage you all to, plan Friday morning coffee, maybe an hour every week, and in about, a year you'll be caught up on all of this. But no, seriously, you have to plan some time for this. I wanted to share because the county came up. One of the things that I did was I just wanted to see Supervisor Washington in person. And he was attending the Winchester MAC a couple weeks ago. So Bella and I attended that, and it was such a difference to show up and meet him in person and talk to him and just see his demeanor and his energy, and how well received he was by the Winchester MAC. It was great, it was wonderful, and meet his staff, they were amazing. It happened to be a night that other local representation was there, so it was overall just a fantastic night. But I went home and I signed up for the Winchester MAC Facebook page, and believe it or not, it's added even more areas, opportunities, I won't say cans of worms, opportunities to learn more information. Winchester has a stake in this, obviously, as we saw from the borders. Someone in the audience asked Supervisor Washington what his take on this annexation is. He said, I am vehemently opposed to annexation in Winchester. I am neutral on East Hemet. So my husband and I both took turns asking him why. And he was very transparent. I was actually pleasantly surprised by the interaction with Supervisor.
Who was that again?
Chuck Washington.
Okay, thank you.
And he said the reason he is neutral is because he doesn't know enough yet. I said, well, join the club. But that's another example of how it is gonna be on us as a community to give him the knowledge he needs to become unneutral. So I'm glad someone asked about the county, because I kind of forgot that. But it was, I I think me and Bella both loved that experience.
We have one comment here.
I believe Andrew Kachuk has answered the question. She gave me a good question. He was speaking on Zoom at a planning commission meeting, and some of the things he said were true, talking about the pressure they're all gonna be under. He said he was voting. He said, I'm gonna vote against this. Okay,
The annexation?
no.
Oh, whatever he's talking
Yeah, it was the planning commission, but they're talking about the development and the pressures and, you know, the things they're seeing every week. He said, you know, the land's gonna be developed. There's too much money, too many people, too much pressure. It's gonna be developed. He said, I'm voting against this particular development today. But long term, it's gonna happen.
I'm not sure that it was as much value. I believe he's talking about the planning commission.
GCAP.
Andrew attended the planning commission.
No, he sits on the GCAP, and so it was a pre-zoning.
Which GPAC?
Riverside counties. So,
Planning commission?
Yeah, so, and he did say no to the rezoning of Chaudry's,
Yes.
proposal out in East Hemet. And then he did say, you know, growth is coming, basically.
The whole
So
Citrus Valley thing out there as well.
correct,
Yeah.
yeah, and honestly, if you have any questions about the Citrus Valley, I suggest you go to the landowners themselves, and they'll be willing to speak with you, because I've spoken with them.
The Washburns?
Yes, and then there's a couple others involved, and they'll explain to you what's happening to their property, their land, their wells, and the process that they're having with the county. And you can get some clarity. Am I against all those homes going out there? Absolutely. Am I for them? Yes, I'm for them, but they don't want that many homes out there either.
But they're selling the land.
They can't.
They haven't sold it yet, have they, the Washburns?
No. So in my conversations, when you go to a person one-on-one, which I did with Andrew when all this started as well, you glean information, or you get pushed to the side and told, you know, you'll find out when everybody else finds out, basically. I saw two different sides there. I saw somebody that was like, yeah, let me talk to you about my project out there. And he knew full well, I said, that's a lot of houses. He's all, that's what I said too, because that's not what I submitted to the county. And we have to remember, California is involved in a lot of this development because of, I'm gonna say it wrong, I think it's SB 330, is that the high density? Yeah, high density housing. So they have a lot of pull and say when people try and put in a project, because they want a lot of high density housing, whether the developer wants it or not. A lot of developers do, but these people, remember, live out there. They still live out there, they have their homes, they didn't want that big of a project themselves. So that's what I suggest. If you want answers and questions, you go to people one-on-one and try and talk to them and see how much information and whether you believe what they have to say to you or not. And I think a lot of us have some good common sense to things.
Does everybody know what the Citrus Valley project is?
No, where's that?
It's residential housing. Can you guys point out where it is up there with the pointer?
Sure, you got it? Okay.
This side of
I'm not
Florida. It's on the way to Idlewild.
It's,
Do y'all know where the Washburn farm is?
so where the farm, let's see, so here's Saboba Road, and then you go
South Florida, right?
out this way. Well, there's two, so they have their stand and their farm, out here, but the orange groves are out here.
Right.
The orange groves are out in this area, and it's multiple families.
That's Stetson and Fairview?
Correct.
Okay.
And, they, instead of farming anymore, they wanted to sell and do, ranch style homes out in that area with acreage and.
It's 10,000 homes, right? Say right?
It's turned into
6,000?
6, they got it down to 6,000.
It was 10 originally?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
trying to.
Separate homes?
Yeah.
Single family residence?
Single family residence, but that's not a very big area. It looks like it on the map, it's not a very big area for 10,000 homes. And mind you, we have, in that area, because I live out there.
No infrastructure.
There's no infrastructure, we will have to come down Stetson Avenue or Florida Avenue to get out of town. and you're adding 10,000 more houses out there, because we dead end. We have no, we only get to leave town out Stetson, down to Dominagoni, or up Florida, out to, Gilman, or, Sanderson, to the 10.
Or state.
Ramon Expressway. We're at a dead end, or go over Idlewild, but who does that?
No, nobody.
So that's why when I spoke with him, I'm like, that's a lot of cars. Let's subtract the houses from this, that's a lot of cars.
2-lane roads.
Yes,
Woo-hoo.
yes, and we already have the high school right there, so the infrastructure isn't there for it. Am I against annexation? Yes. Am I against that project? Yes. I'd like the project to be smaller, but the county gets to decide, and ultimately.
It's really the state.
Correct, the state, because of SB 330. So, is there any more questions?
Oh my, warehouses, projects, annexation.
Do you hear what's going on in
So-
Gilman Springs, right?
Well, Gilman Springs Road, the ranches, the new Rancho Pellet something, some
3,000 homes?
estates, yeah. Everybody knows about that. On Gilman Springs. You know what, they just redid Gilman Springs and put all that pastoring in. There's big ranch estates going in there, 3,000 of them. We drove by the other day on the way to the airport and I said, Alda, what's that? She said, houses, I think. And sure enough, yeah.
But they're half acres, no?
I don't know what the acreage is. I
don't
printed the
have it with
information
me.
on it, but I haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
So,
You're gonna start to see that all down to 79.
Correct.
They're gonna take the states, SB 330, some of the other assembly bills and state bills that are coming out. They're taking some of those old maps, some of those old specific plans, and they're increasing the density. And they're making the lots smaller.
and doesn't the
They're-
79 reroute go to Gilman
I mean,
Springs?
the
It's
southern
gonna go
part.
to Gilman Springs now?
Just the end of it.
The southern part, I'm talking about like Dominagoni.
Yeah, out here.
Below.
Right.
So you're gonna start to see French Valley and Winchester grow, but you're gonna see a lot of higher density projects. That's what we're seeing right now.
Well, we see it already in Winchester, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and they're just coming our way.
Yep.
Ay, ay, ay. Yes, Janet?
So it'll be like a 2-story stucco box on a
Yep.
minimum 4,000 feet?
No, they're gonna be larger lots than that.
No, those
Ed,
projects, but
You're
what
talking about
I'm,
Winchester
yeah,
lots.
what I'm seeing is 3,500 square foot.
Oh, it's even less.
Oh, my.
It used to at least be 4,000.
That's a zero lot line, basically.
Basically.
Yeah.
You have a 2,000 square foot house.
They're doing it in the name
And
of,
an 8-foot
the need for
driveway.
housing.
Oh, that's gonna be awful.
Wow. So anyway, you know, we're not afraid of hard work, right? I mean, look what we did with the warehouse. They're calling us warehouse slayers. So anything we can do on this annexation project, if you are for or against, is really important. Really important to show up. We ended up having a core 8 people for the warehouse, which we got it done, going to those meetings for the most part, so ladies are asking for help, right? Okay, any other questions? I know it's a lot to digest, more information will be coming. The ladies have posted on the presentation, which I posted by blast, and I will update that, and also on Facebook. Once I have the updated one, I'll post it out on the website, so you can pick it up there and just leave it there when you need it. It's got their website and access to information and their Facebook page, so a lot of information I read over the last 2 days came from that, so thank you for that. It's very robust, and I'm sure you'll be adding more to it every day. Roy has a warrior cry for you that he wants to share for the no to annexation. I'm not sure what he's doing. It looks like kind of a powwow bag or what's happening. You need a microphone, Roy?
Sure. I never met a microphone I didn't like. Test, yeah. This annexation, all this property, and those 2 little parcels. We've got a fire department about here, we've got a very small fire department over here, we've got a large police force here, we've got a small police force there. Look at response times. Look at the cost. The gentleman over here talked about the cost of just one fire engine. It's crazy. I don't see any benefit whatsoever except for developers, real estate agents, title companies, and guys that, and financial institutions that provide bonds. They all make a whole lot of money. Now, in that additional, 30-some thousand, 47,000 people that will come in, they build 10,000 more houses, that's minimum, another 17,000 people. Well, he's saying more, and I believe you, I believe you.
The average family of four is 40,000 people.
Yeah. So what really bothers me about this is decisions can be made behind closed doors that make this happen. The numbers are stacked against us. 50% of all the people in this thing have to voice against it.
Yep.
I doubt if 5% of the people in this whole area even know it's being proposed. We need a rallying cry. We need something that people will hear and understand that they need to get involved. Newland Simpson, we got people involved. She got people involved. So for our rallying cry, I was watching an old episode of SNL, Saturday Night Live, a few weeks ago, and I saw this and I said, you know, this would work. So our rallying cry for the severe deficiencies of this annexation program is no more cowbell! No more cowbell! Sing along with me. No more cowbell! No more cowboy! All right? Thank you, people.
All right. Yes, Mr. Evans.
Yes, this doesn't have to do with annexation, but last night I attended the theater and I was the one that was escorted out along with Bella there. They used five for me. They only used 2 for her, I guess, because I'm a big boy.
The size there.
But anyway, the Hemet Theater, they're talking about an expansion project, okay? This is where the city's mentality and local control. They paid $100,000 over market value for the vacant lot where they have the food trucks. Okay? They also bought the balloons thing for $45,000 less than market value. They want to put an expansion. There's several projected ideas. One is a hotel, and I'm like, who wants to stay in a hotel downtown Denver? Okay, but here's the sad part. That theater, go to the events there. It's a beautiful theater as it is. Okay, leave it the heck alone. Because last night when I was there, it was a Willie Nelson tribute. Okay, it wasn't 40% full. The Jimmy Buffett, 25% full. Now, if you can't fill what you got, why are you expanding?
You know, Andrew Kuchek sits on the board for the Hemet Theater.
Look,
Just saying.
all the people that support
More
the
self-interest.
annexation, I am actually personal friends with, because my dad was involved in the Chamber of Commerce when I moved out here. So I know all these people. Dr. Chattery, when his brother died, I got motorcycles for him. Okay, so I know all these people, and I know about the back door at the Barnes house over there on Quail Drive off of Columbia. Nick Jones. I cooked for those events. Back door meetings. That's how this town is run. The good old boy syndrome that Andrew talks about, okay, is bull. He is involved with the good old boy syndrome.
He is the system.
Okay,
Yeah.
and Andrew is the one, and that's why he's doing it. You can all know that Miss Green, Lori Van Arsdale, developer type people, real estate people. Andrew, financial. He owns SoCal Gas up in Idlewild. Okay, so he has the aspiration of being a council member, and the only way he can do that, because he lives on Pachea Trail, okay, is to get this annexation. There's more to it. Yeah, you shot down the warehouse that was gonna go out here, but I can tell you right now, because his last podcast was all about the Highway 79 and what it's gonna do. All the towns he talks about are all on the interstate and are highly congested with fast food stores, restaurants. Is that really what we want? We have a beautiful, diverse community with all ethnic backgrounds. We have a city, but we also have a nice rural area. Let's leave it the hell alone, because in all honesty, the county is not doing us anything wrong. We're happy. I just can't
Thank you,
believe.
Mark. Thank you, Mr. Evans.
You're welcome.
All right, ladies, any final comments from all of you?
I just wanna say thank you.
Yes.
we appreciate your coming out and gracing us with your information. It's a lot to digest, and we'll get there. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.